So we're going to talk to the men out there, and if you are a female spouse, partner, whatever,
You're going to love this.
You're going to love it.
Or if you're a man and you need to send it to your man, we're all welcome here.
We're all welcoming here. That's a great point. Ninjas.
No problems, just solutions.
That's right.
And we are specifically talking to men because I feel like this is more of an issue than we as females face. Men take on this full responsibility that they have to do this themselves. They need to provide, they need to have it all figured out. Bitch, nobody has it all figured out. And we don't always expect you to either.
No, but I'm explaining the psychology of men. Men are just trying to fulfill what they believe is their role. Some men sit back and they say, you know what, honey, you're right. I have to just pull myself up and just get it with the program. But a lot of men don't.
Does that shut men down more then?
It can. All right, guys. Welcome back to Moving Sucks.
Welcome back to Moving Sucks. It's time to fix that.
It's time to fix that. This is going to be a spicy one, guys.
Spicy.
This is going to be spicy. We're going to be talking to men.
Seth has given me guardrails, and Seth has told me that I have to reserve myself a little bit, so I will do my best.
So we're going to talk to the men out there, and if you are a female spouse, partner, whatever,
you're going to love this.
You're going to love it. But if you're listening to it, feel free to send this episode onto your man if you feel like it resonates. So,
or if you're
we're going to get a little. Hey, listen, what's that?
Or if you're a man and you need to send it to your man, we're all welcome here.
We're all welcoming here. That's a great point. Thanks. We're going to get a little political here. We're going to get a little economical, which is Jen's favorite. We are going to talk a little bit about psychology, and we're going to talk just about the market in general. So this is something that I have been talking about with the team for a very long time. I felt extremely validated by the presidential election because it turns out that men right now are pretty disaffected in the country. And a lot of young men are unhappy with the economy. They're unhappy with the way that things are going for them. A lot of them, they stayed clean. They stayed out of jail. They went and got their college degree. They started a family, and they feel like they're on the outside looking in terms of housing and other opportunity in society. And so when they did the exit polls and they really started digging into the presidential election that we had just this past November, they found that sentiment was very much true, and that is why they voted for change. And in this very divided country that we have, it does not take a lot to swing. You can swing one demographic set, and that's a presidential election. We have been seeing this for years in the housing market as things have really ramped up from an lack of affordability standpoint. So I talked to the team a ton about, talking to the decision maker. You can get a wife or a girlfriend who's super excited about moving. Sometimes they're pregnant and they're like, I want to move. I want to get out of here. And there's a guy, the husband, the boyfriend or something, who are like, honey, we're not moving. We're not doing anything. So I want to talk a little bit to the men out there, talk about what they're going through, and then also how we solve it, because that's part of what we do here, right, Jen? Is we solve problems.
We solve problems.
Problem-solving ninjas.
No problems, just solutions.
That's right. That's right.
We also did narrow this down to kind of 3 core reasons, or really ways that men kind of get in their own way.
Yes.
And we are specifically talking to men because I feel like this is more of an issue than we as females face. And Seth has also brought this to my attention. We kind of see it. We see it in a couple of dynamics. This is just like a partner, whether you guys are, married, engaged, dating, whatever it is. Men end up feeling like they need to take on more of the role to like kind of get this done. And
Hmm.
I won't say they self sabotage it, but they do get in their own ways. And we're going to kind of go over what we narrowed that down to and how to address that and fix
Okay.
that. Get
So would
around
you like to start
life.
with the first? Would you like to start with the first point?
Oh, I sure would.
Then let's do it.
It's y'all's egos. So I was born in the right generation because I love telling men on themselves. And I'm just gonna say, like, stop overthinking it. Get your ego out of it. If you're struggling, say it. Like, stop thinking that you have to do all of this on your own and that you have to be the one to like take charge. Like, sure, if it makes you feel better, like, okay, sweetie. But like talk, communicate. I think that a lot of what goes into a roadblock is because men take on this full responsibility that they have to do this themselves. They need to provide, like they need to have it all figured out. But nobody has it all figured out. And like we don't always expect you to either. You know what we love as females? Vulnerability. Like break it down. We love collaboration, or maybe that's just me, but I think I can speak for most of us when I say we'd rather be making decisions together and that we do not expect you to take on the full brunt of this yourself. And, there might be some things that are not ideal logistically, as far as, maybe there are some debts or maybe there are credit issues. And you don't want your partner to know about that because you feel shame or you feel embarrassed or you feel less than or you feel like you failed. No, you know what we hate more? Not addressing it and letting it continue to be a problem, because the more you do that, and the more you just keep like putting that off and putting it off and shoving it to the side, we're never going to get further to the goal that we actually want.
Yeah.
So take your ego out of it, address it together, and be willing to put in the work that you're willing to like try to put into carrying this whole thing on your own shoulders. Like put that in towards opening yourself up and having open dialogue and communication and tough conversations with your partner to do this together.
Yep.
So I told you
There
that
you go. Does that feel good to get that off your chest?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I bet.
And this is why I said this is not a male specific episode. Ladies, if I am right, please let us know. Comment. I want like chime in here.
Yeah.
Men need reinforcement. Like I am not alone in thinking all of this.
Yeah.
And I think it's archaic to think like, oh, the man needs to be the one that's gonna shut up. Do we want to be taken care of? Of course we do. But like also not one person can do everything themselves, nor should they have to.
Yeah.
So, and have the conversations together, because guess what? If he is the only one that's going to have these conversations, or she is the only one who's going to have these conversations, whatever it is, like come together. You are not going to have success in this process if you two are not aligned and talking.
Yeah. And I would agree with that. Let's talk a little bit about what's happened in the past few years, though, with the ego and the value system of men. There has been a collision course of men of the economy and housing affordability, and like access to opportunity in terms of not like I'm not talking like affirmative action type thing. I'm talking about just being able to find good jobs and good pay and being able to provide, and regardless of the era, this is built into our DNA, is that men value providing. And yes, of course, women now contribute more to the American household in terms of income and support. Dual income is a very common thing now versus 40 years ago it wasn't. And it still hasn't changed, though. Men still see themselves as the leader of the providing for the family. That is
don't
part
mind
of the
that.
thing.
And that's not where any of my rants are ever going to come from.
What's that?
I said, and I don't find anything wrong with that.
No, but I'm explaining the psychology of men. Men are just trying to fulfill what they believe is their role in being a parent or even just a partner. And affordability and access to opportunity, even perceivably, has been on a collision course with that value system. And that's just a fancy way of saying that men are pissed and they feel that they're shut out and they feel like they don't have options. And a lot of them are embarrassed about it. And they don't want to talk about it. And they get dejected. And a lot of times I'm sitting in consults with couples and I almost always try to get people on video because I got to be able to see body language. And you can just see by whether someone's sitting up or not, if they're engaged. I've had
one to watch too is especially when you're on the follow-up call with the lender and going through numbers. I specifically watch the face to see what happens to it when they see it.
Yeah, especially when they start asking about debts. And we've had Ryan Alexander on this. We've had Amber Duncan. We've had people talking about really vulnerable financial stuff because it is it's people men equate economic viability with failure or success. And it's a very big part of their value system. And so I do, if I can put it on the other hat, I do see some women though, they will say, just get over it. Like you got to get over it. And this is bullshit. Like we need to like roll up our sleeves, kind of what you just said.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And
Because
not all men, some men sit back and they say, you know what, honey, you're right. I have to just pull myself up and just get it with the program. But a lot of men don't.
I feel like now, and I'm only learning this recently because that is, as a female, that's how I see it. So just suck it up. Deal with it. But yeah. I feel like, does that shut men down more than?
It can. And they're just like, you know what? I don't give a shit what they say. Like, I'm right. And I'm not I'm not going to pull this whole thing open and be all vulnerable and everything like that. Because just men in general, some men just are not vulnerable. They can't be
weak.
vulnerable.
I think that's weak.
Well, that may be.
Real man, open up.
Okay. Well, in the end, that's the psych profile that we're talking about. I want to make sure that the listeners of this podcast understand that I don't want to say safe spaces, but we create an environment that allows for all this information and for solutions to come available. And sometimes, man, it's like, you guys fucked up. Okay. You got 2 years until you're going to even be able to buy a house, but you have to be able to start by telling somebody what is happening, whether it's your spouse or a lender or a realtor, and starting the process towards home ownership. I will take the second one, which is essentially getting your news and your information and your perception about what is possible for you from people who are not in real estate.
Unqualified.
What I'm talking about the brosphere. Okay, I'm talking about the podcast sphere where you go on to PBD or you go to Joe Rogan and it's all fire and brimstone. It's about how men are screwed, men have been passed by. It's a woman's world, like all this shit where it's like you start to internalize. You start to internalize. I know you're just back, Jen. Yeah. You start to internalize that story that sells a shitload of podcast minutes.
But I need to emphasize, and I need you to reiterate that it sells.
It sells, and we are in an attention economy.
It does not equate to is true.
Exactly. And I find that one of the large ironies of our society right now is that you have a bunch of bros on these podcasts all saying the media is corrupt and they're lying to you. Meanwhile, they are all they care about is telling you what you want to hear. They just trade on that shit because we are not in a manufacturing economy anymore. We are not an agrarian economy, meaning farming economy. We were in a technology economy. We have now passed over into the attention economy. There is so much money into convincing people of false stories, confirming their own self-perceptions, dramatizing, embellishing, pointing the finger at other people, saying the reason you're not where you are is because of those people. It's all very victim-based. It's fucking lame. And I'm here to tell you, as a guy who's 45 years old, who does share that value system of like, my entire purpose on this planet is to provide for my family. Like, that's it. I get up in the morning wanting to provide. I share responsibilities with my wife. I say yes to everything. And that is very much but I'm also at the point where I know bullshit when I see it, and I see it out there where there's just guys out there just day trading on attention and just telling guys that they've been fucked over, they've been missed over, and it's someone else's fault. And it's a really easy sales pitch, and it's bullshit. So I want to really caution the men out there to be very cognizant of the sources and the opinions that they listen to, because a lot of times it's just so they get more clicks, subscribes, and attention, and that's it.
Why do you think we changed our name to Moving Sucks? We tried to be positive before and put a positive spin on it, but
yeah,
doesn't get the clicks. We are a positively directed, solution-focused podcast.
Yes.
But honestly, Exhibit A, it is everything is clickbait in this world. And it's, the more just exaggerated any information can be, they're going to do it.
Yeah, there's a great book.
Why I don't think this podcast is going to end up being this like major nationally known thing, because like we're not here to just like strike fear into people and like get all these crazy headlines, and it's just like we're too real.
Yeah, well, and also we have the experience to know better. And the purpose of this is to get the word out about how things are possible and to be optimistic instead of, everything, you're fucked and everything's going to suck. And, I read there's a great book and it was written in the 90s, but it's still relevant today, and it's pre-internet. I'm sure the author head would explode, but it's called The Culture of Fear. And it talks all about how the media, local news, it's like, if it bleeds, it leads. That's like fires, homicides, stabbings, that type of thing. And then like the weather and the sports are at the end, which is like the fun stuff. It is the exact same thing. You go on the cable news, you go on the internet. The internet, it has an incentive mechanism to just give you bad news and tell you why someone else is to blame for it. It is a very old, you put a tech spin on it, but it's a very old formula. That the media has always done, or influencers, or anybody who has been trying to get attention. They know that a negative story resonates more than a positive one. So what that really means, fear gets more clicks than hope.
And I will say, it's not to say there's no truth to some of it too, though. You're scrolling through TikTok, or if it's still around by the time this episode comes out, or like Instagram, whatever, and you're going through and you see these reels and you see like, oh, back in like whatever year, like house prices were this much and this was rates and this was this and this is what it is today. Like, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not incorrect, but the reality of it is accepting where we are right now. This is what we are given, but what is not being talked about is how to navigate that to actually still being able to get what you want, and that there are solutions to it. It's just pointing out all of the bad, all the negative. This is why you can't do this. This is why you can't do that. I don't know if anybody knows this about me, but I'm not in the business of anybody telling me I can't do something.
Yeah.
So like, nice try. but yeah, just pay attention to who it is that is giving these opinions, because and like, are they in that world specifically all the time? And if they are,
because all they're doing is they're going online and finding these stories, and then they're saying, Bob, let's go talk about this on the podcast. It's called like they piggyback off of like right now. So as we're recording this, yesterday, China came out with a new AI tool about NVIDIA and lowered NVIDIA's stock price by like 20%.
Here comes nerd brain.
I won't go into details exactly what that means, but basically it was a major, major economic story. I guarantee you I could go onto my phone and find 20 YouTube videos where someone's being like, the whole market's going to crash. This is just the tip of the spear. This is our black swan event. No one thought it was going to be this, and then they, and then tomorrow it'll be something new. It is an attention economy, and unfortunately, there's a lot of motive and profit behind telling men that they've been screwed over and really like focusing on this victim storyline. And it really is like obviously unattractive to women because women do want vulnerable men, but women also want strong men.
Yes.
And they want men who can take charge.
Vulnerability is strong.
Is strong, but also like as much as you want, like, doe-eyed puppy dog and, flowers and all that shit, it's at the same time, women want men who can see through that and stay positive and be a driving force for the family as well. And I think a lot of men have opted out of that. And it's a shame, but now we're really seeing it transfer to housing.
Well, I think this segues into the third thing that we came to as far as the men's mindset and what's getting in their own way and stopping them is just fear of failure.
Yeah.
So because men don't want to fail. And well, nobody wants to fail. But I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. You're the male. I am only speaking from my perspective. But I don't like to be failures. And you can't fail if you don't try.
Yep.
And it's you're being so, going back to where you're getting your information from, the information that you're receiving, if all you're hearing is like, you can't do this and this is impossible and it's too hard to do it and we've been priced out and, whatever else, like we missed the boat. If that's what you're receiving and that's the information that you're allowing to soak in, then you're going to tell yourself, well, I don't want to put my family in a position for me to fail them.
Yeah.
But you also can't provide if you don't try.
Yep.
So it's like, I understand fear of failure, but how about you just like stop being scared and you just try?
Yeah.
Like, what's the worst that could happen? And so long as you're talking to the right people, you're making the right moves. And I've said this before, but everything is just about making one right decision at a time.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Whoa. Are we talking about eating the elephant one bite at a time?
Oh, shut your mouth. This is a new era and moving sucks.
I'm not allowed to talk about that anymore?
We will. But man, you got me off my train, man. I was gonna say something really good. Really rolling, you friggin' elephant. But that's what I was gonna say. It's like you talk to any successful businessman. You talk to let's talk to like a Mark Cuban or somebody who has made it. You think they haven't failed? You think any person who has success hasn't tried something and failed at it? If you're afraid of failure, you're then literally saying that you are afraid of success because sometimes it's not going to work and sometimes you're going to fail, but that is what will get you to where you're supposed to be. Yep. These are the lessons, by the way, I'm giving my 6-year-old. Mm-hmm. And we're sitting here talking to grown men. Men, I'm giving you the same lectures I'm giving the 6-year-old. Let that sink in.
Look at you, man, getting all up in their shit.
I don't get all up in anybody's shit.
No, I always say, and a lot of entrepreneurs and like a Mark Cuban, it's like you fail your way to the top.
Yeah.
And you can't, if you don't try, you can't know. And in the end, it's just like we were talking earlier in another episode about how to prep your house for sale. And then in another episode, we were talking about how to get pre-approved and all that. There are professionals out there who can help you to make this not as hard as you are building it up to be. And
you know what will get somebody to fail though?
By not doing anything.
By not doing anything, or by thinking they need to do it all themselves.
Yeah.
By thinking they have all the answers. By thinking that they can just go out like, oh, well, I don't need their help. Like, I know where I'm at financially. I can talk to the listing agent. I can go do that myself.
Yep.
No. Stop.
Yeah.
Like, asking for getting the right help is going to reduce your likelihood of failing drastically. Like, humble yourself a little bit, go swallow that ego a little bit, and understand that if you are afraid of failure, then you need to get over the whole I don't want to ask somebody for help.
Yeah. Yeah, I would be really interested in anyone out there who wants to comment. Yeah, like just like what Jen asked before, it's like, is this, are we describing your man accurately? Like,
You
what's that?
or you, the listener, the man.
Or you, yeah.
Or
I mean, if you really want to be vulnerable, I guess this is a first step. If you want to admit that you were like this way.
you want to punch Jen in the face? Is she really obnoxious?
No, but I listen. This is not going away. As affordability continues to be a hurdle, I think that this is a conversation that we either need to have with men directly, or we need to have with spouses or the women, in order to give them pointers on how to break open this logjam. And everyone thinks realtors, man, they just sit around, they buy and sell houses, and they do open houses and put their shit on TikTok. But I'm going to tell you right now, pull up a seat, pull up a chair, and hire a video crew and see the conversations that we have every week. Because I'm telling you, man, I'm having like marriage counseling sessions, psychology therapist appointments, all kinds of stuff. Like, this is so much bigger than just buying and selling a house. And now it's gotten really interesting because we've got a lot of egos and we've got affordability in the mix, and moving sucks anyway. Even in the best market, moving sucks. And the only way to kind of get this logjam kind of broken free is to start talking and having conversations about what is actually happening inside the mind of the consumer. We can have open houses and we can have big, shiny objects put on the internet or whatever. But if that consumer doesn't believe that's even possible for them, they're just going to miss opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. And we're going to be seeing more and more 40-year-olds buying their first home.
And that's I'm telling you, if you just keep punting this off and you keep punting this off, your lady might not be very happy. And happy wife, happy life. And if you listen, I am finding out more and more how much I don't understand about the male's brain. Mm-hmm. You guys make no sense to me. I am trying to understand, but good grief. You think we're complicated. Yeah, right.
Men are not necessarily more complicated than women. The thing is that it's a little harder. That complexity can be mistaken just because men just don't talk about it as much. It can be actually a little simpler, but because they don't talk about it, there's not enough information to go off of.
But it could be so much simpler.
I know it could be
so much simpler if you just talk about it.
I know it could be.
Now, listen, I know about myself that I am more.
You're a communicator.
Assertive.
You're a communicator. You're a talker. You like to talk things out and express yourself.
I know I don't represent every woman, but I do think that I could say that on all of our behalves, we want y'all to talk. And, I'm just so curious. My interest is piqued to know if this is something how relevant this is. I'm really curious to know, the people who are listening. Is this something that you are just shaking your head saying, so-and-so needs to see this. So-and-so needs to listen to this. Oh my God.
Yeah. And if this is like, even if it's not it's a brother or any man in your life, like, or, coworker, whatever, or somebody who, needs to hear this, not trying to beat up on men. It's not what we're trying to do here. What we're trying to do is shine a light on psychological hurdles that we're seeing in the marketplace. That's not even getting them even to the table to even talk about the idea of getting their family where they need to be. And so this is we're not going to stop talking about this. These marital or these relationship dynamics are an enormous piece of the puzzle. And sometimes you just sit at a thing and they're both spouses are like, yeah, we've talked this over at length. We're ready. And they're lockstep. Sometimes they are diametrically opposed. and everywhere in between. And it is our job to have those conversations, provide safety in the minds of both of those people in order so they can make the next step and go and get the house or sell the house or do whatever transaction they need to do.
And I will say, as far as just like real life and what I have seen and am seeing, those couples do exist, though, that the ones that are talking and communicating, like, because like I said, this is not saying this is all men, but the ones who have communicated, who have put it all out on the table, who have been vulnerable, who have swallowed the egos and actually let this thing happen the way it needs to, they're in their houses. They found them and they're already in them. And I can think of right off the bat at least 4 couples who I have talked to, started talking about this kind of stuff years ago, who the wife or the spouse, partner, has been wanting to move, but nothing has progressed in the file because he is still not doing anything about it.
Yeah. So I mean,
it's not because it's not possible. And I know the financial position that most of them are in. It is not because it's not possible. I can think of 2 that are so similar, but these people are in their house and these people have gotten absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
Because of one of the 3 reasons we have just talked about.
Yeah. Yeah, and I, like I said, we are going to continue to talk about this because it's too important. And like I said in the very beginning of this episode, the collision course between affordability and the difficulty in moving and dealing with all this shit.
It's a lot.
And the men's like value system is not going away. So we're going to continue to talk about it and shining a light on all this. And make everyone know, or allow everyone to know, that there are solutions.
There are solutions.
Yes.
Yeah. We just want to get it done.
That's right. So, okay, well, we'll leave it at that.
Okay.
All right, we'll see you guys.
Okay, bye.